G'day, AJ Mahara here. And I wasn't going to do another video right now today, but I have a little time, and so to a comment on the last video I posted, I thought, yeah, that would be a good thing to talk about for others as well as the commenter. So my last video, it's this is November 25th, 2017, and my last video was posted just a little bit ago to this point in time, which is going to mean nothing later. Sorry. But the video is called BPD, NPD, etc. The Central Trap All Toxic People Set for You. So I did that earlier, and it's been up for like 54 minutes at the time that I'm going to respond to this comment on that video. And I just give reference to the video where the comment was made upon, and the date of this video will be up soon too. Oh, I know this is a stupid preamble here. Point is, in case somebody comes along a lot later, you know. So, anyways, this is to Brad's comment on that video that I just mentioned. So, okay, can I see the whole thing here? I just had to start over. Okay. So Brad said, what makes him wonder, well, okay, what makes him wonder is if someone is so fearful and so paranoid of the world, why would they alienate the person closest to them, partner or friend who has totally taken care of them? And they also, to the point they believe your exit is near, so they strike out in rages, betrayals, lying, etc., therefore creating more paranoia for them, of retribution from all the targets they perceive as vindictive, its projection, and inability to connect one-on-one. I really want to come back to that point, too. There seems to be some logic as to their not understanding genuineness, and honesty. It's like they can't believe anybody because anybody could be genuine or honest, because they're not. So that's the projection factor there. And it must not be perceivable in any empathy void world. Okay, so I'll just say on that point, it's not always about a lack of empathy why they can't perceive this. So for people with BPD, it's not necessarily a lack of empathy, in the sense that it would be for those with narcissistic personality disorder. Anyway, and then the rest of what Brad commented was, the question with the comment, which I love, is, can they keep this mental drain up forever, feeding on its negativity? And then Brad says, exhausting, ... Yes, it is very exhausting. So the point is that they are often fearful, and that's what the control is all about too. You know, that's the other reason why I did that video, that central trap that all toxic people set up for you, is their need for control. And because, as in the case of, sounds like, you know, this commenter might have been with somebody or be with somebody with BPD, but I don't know. But it's all about control because they're out of control. And so you wonder if they can be that, they're that fearful and paranoid. Sometimes it's sort of it's paranoid, I guess. Yeah. Of the world or of other people. But see, really, that's a projected out thing about them having, in the case of BPD, a lost self. So with each reason behind it, right, that a person is toxic, this can vary. But so why would they alienate the closest friend or partner who's taking care of them, and you be good to them, and you are genuine and honest, and they can't take that in? Well, as you said, because they fear that your exit is, coming. It's that abandonment fear. Again, it sounds like it's a person with borderline personality disorder, so I'm going to be focusing more on that, because this is what is one of the seminal issues with people with BPD. and this is exactly the situation that so many, like Brad, are going through or have been through. Yeah, you're there, you love them, you care for them, you take care of them, you're honest, you're not going to go cheat on them, you're there, but they can't take that in because, with the loss of self, they have no self, then they have no self-trust, then they have no sense of worthiness from which to really believe that they're lovable. So really the answer to your question about why, if they're so fearful and paranoid of the world, do they alienate the people closest and who take care of them, who actually are genuinely and honestly trying to love them, or loving them, is because they have no clue what love is, and they are more used to everything negative than positive. They can't take in the positive. They can't trust anything positive, because surely if you were going to love this person, they are going to re-experience. I mean, you do love this person, as you said. The thing is, they will see you as that object other wounding parent who in some way they either perceived or were emotionally abandoned by. So they can't see you for who you are, and they don't know what healthy adult love is. So I hope that explains that part, because I know that I'm saying that in a lot of videos, but it really needs to be underscored. So yeah, they strike out in rages and betrayals, and they lie, making their situation worse because it's a repetition compulsion. They are reacting to something in a dissociative way that they don't even realize that happened to them in the past, or they perceived happened to them in the past. So as you become object other, mother or father, it doesn't matter what your gender is, whoever was the most wounding parent, then what happens for you, Brad, and people like you in these relationships, is that you become the object other, negative, bad parent, and all the stuff that gets thrown at you, and all the lies and the betrayals and the lack of trust and the abandonment fear, it's all, you become invisible. And so they are raging at you and projecting all this onto you. But really, it's in a dissociative way for them when they get really dysregulated and triggered, because, and I'm not making an excuse for it, it's just the explanation of it, because they aren't able to see you in those moments as you. They really just in a dissociative way are totally back in the past with past issues and or traumas, and then they project that all out onto you, but you are object other wounding parent or object other bad parent and representation, and so you're not even the one, you're not even getting seen. That's hard for a lot of people to hear too. But the other point is that people with BPD do not know who they are. They do not trust themselves. And so what that means is they are going to definitely not be able to trust anyone else, no matter how loving you are, how kind you are, how genuine, how honest. It's just the fact that they had an arrested emotional development at the age of 2, and they didn't work out a lot of stuff. So you're really with an emotional young child. And so this is kind of a rational behavior, but it's a repetition compulsion, a reoccurring thing for them in a dissociative way. I mean, it's really hard to wrap your head around, I understand. If you've never been there, and obviously most people, who asked the question that you asked toward the end here, of course not. You don't have a personality disorder. So, you said there seems to be logic. Yeah, right. Well, I think I explained why they don't understand genuineness and honesty, because they didn't get to experience that, or they perceived that they didn't. And they have no self from which they don't know those qualities in themselves. They may have them, most of the time, but not in a consistent way of knowing that, so they're unsure. And that lack of trust, because, to be able to trust someone else, all of us, we have to be able to trust ourselves first. People with BPD are stuck in a dilemma where they have no self, no known sense of stable self, no consistent self, lost self, varying degrees of that if they sought some treatment. But the point is, so they have no self to trust, no real strong sense of self to trust, so they can't trust anybody else. And because everything is in a negative framework for people with BPD, most of the time, or certainly when triggered, or when they're fearing abandonment, like you said about exit and making things worse and raging, they're trying to push you right the hell away, because that's what they had to do in one way or another, either in early childhood and or later, with the wounding parent, or the perception that they were abandoned, or somebody was emotionally unavailable for them and didn't meet their needs when a parent should have met their needs. So anyway, yes, you said they have an inability to connect one-on-one. Absolutely, because before you can connect one-on-one, you have to be one. You have to know who you are. So at the bottom of borderline personality disorder, and even people who think they're more recovered than they are, they still don't know who they are. And I mean, in recovery, one can find out who one is. That's one of the core pieces of cornerstone work that really creates the possibility and is what BPD recovery is about, is really finding out who you are, taking responsibility for yourself, and learning that the world isn't going to be like the bad, the object other representation that's bad, that's been split and can't be taken out of the black category of splitting. And so, no, they absolutely can't connect one-on-one like mature adults, because they're emotionally still very young. And they have a lot of growing and learning to do, and, therapy, and need to change the way that they think based on what's often traumatic experience or perceived abandonment or actual abandonment. So, and that goes to that. I've explained it before in other videos, but I would like to repeat it here again, not just for Brad, but for everybody. It goes to the approach avoidance conflict. It goes to the fact that if they get too close, they feel controlled, and then they need to start to rage, pick a fight, whatever, because they need distance. And then when they distance from you because they've raged and picked a fight, and that distances loved ones, maybe not like, depending, varying degrees, but like, you're like, what just happened? They come back, because you see, after they distance from you, then they feel like you abandoned them, because everything is projected out, right? And then they feel like you abandoned them. They get back into the abandonment trauma, and then they get really needy to get close again because they're alone, and there's that. And all this can go on around and around, cycle, when they're triggered, and then when they come back to base, but over and over and over and over and over, infinitesimally over, if they don't get help. And then they think that you abandon them when they distance. And then when they distance, they perceive your distance, because people kind of go like, whoa, like there's a distancing factor there to being raged at. And then they think you're going to abandon. And they get the relief of being too close, and that anxiety that builds up, that fear of engulfment. And now, with the distance they just achieved by pushing you away and the raging, but they think you abandon them, now they have to like get closer again, because they can't be alone. You're going to abandon them. So you see that cycle? It's impossible. Really, it is. And more people with BPD need to take the journey to changing it. It's painful. I've been there, done that. Recovered in 1995. I'm sorry for the repeat for those who watch lots of my videos. And the other thing I was just going to say was, can they keep this mental drain up forever, feeding on its negativity, because it's so exhausting to you, to loved ones? Well, the answer is Yes. A lifetime. If they don't get skilled help and don't want to go to therapy and don't want to do the work, and unfortunately the work has with it, the process of recovery from borderline personality disorder has with it a lot of pain. But what I found out when I was in recovery, and I was really much better like 25 years ago, but in 1995 is when I officially recovered and was told that by therapists. The thing is that what I know about that is that, it's very painful to do the work to recover from BPD without a doubt. But what people with BPD don't realize is that pain isn't a monster out here, like a lot of them think, and that's trying to, kill them or eat them up or something. It's really inside, and it's really old, and and as I was going through recovery, because it was just so painful. I mean, there aren't words to describe it. But I was also getting the coping tools and skills taught to me to be able to then tolerate the distress of that pain. And I recovered before DBT skills came to Canada, so it was not DBT therapy that I was in. But the point is, yes, they will do this until they learn not to do it, till they learn what's going on, and until they face the core pain from their young childhood that arrested their emotional development, that caused them to lose the self. It is exhausting, and I thought your comment was really important because it's one that I'm sure so many other loved ones could totally relate to in your question. And I hope that was helpful. And I do have at phoenixrisingpublications.com ebooks and audios for people with BPD, but also for loved ones. And I would highly recommend for people to just check them out, because even some of the ones where I'm talking to people with BPD about BPD, it could help you to understand more. But I was thinking specifically of, what was I going to say here? Sorry. To just understand basically more about the abandoned pain in borderline personality. So I have an ebook called The Abandoned Pain in Borderline Personality, The Legacy of Abandonment in Borderline Personality, that can help loved ones understand. And for loved ones, yes, the other thing I wanted to say was, because this is why people with BPD most often, and unless a certain amount of recovery, they don't understand love. They don't take love in. They don't take positive in. They might at one moment and then split you and it's gone, and it's love hate. It's that classic book, right? I hate you, don't leave me. And I have an ebook at phoenixrisingpublications.com that is what's the title of that book? BPD in Love. There's an audio and a book. The Dilemma. Dilemma for Loved Ones on the Other Side of BP. Maybe I should just link it under this video. Talks about, can borderlines really love, and why or why not. Anyway, and I just mentioned that in case somebody would be interested or find it helpful. I'm not like making commercials here. So I hope that was helpful. And so that's why, loved ones, if you are staying with somebody with borderline personality disorder who's in that certain place where it seems the person that Brad is with is in, with BPD, sort of not knowing a lot, or maybe not having progressed through therapy or wanting to go yet. That's where you have to be able to really look at the coping mechanisms and skills that you need if, in fact, you want to really stay with this person. And also, just please know, again, I'm going to repeat it, you can't rescue them, you can't fix them, you can't make them want to go to therapy. It's a really heartbreaking situation when you love someone who just has this pattern of behavior and doesn't want to get help, or can't find the help, or tries but doesn't get anywhere in the process. Because nothing will change unless and until they actually do want therapy, pursue therapy, and get a skilled therapist. And that's getting harder and harder today too. So sorry for the bad news there, but people have to really know what they're dealing with, what they're up against, and yes, they will do it for a lifetime if they don't get successful therapy and treatment. Take care now.